here's Brody Brazil.
You know, I'm already rethinking my titling of this video because I've gone ahead and called it possible opposition to the Orlando Dreamers, but maybe what would be better is realistic resistance, and not to the existence of the Orlando Dreamers, but more about their concepts and the process. And politicians want to be involved from the very beginning. They don't just want things said and stated and thrown out there, and they don't have any control over it. It's almost like, hey, if we're going to cook a meal, let's get all the chefs together to figure this out, figure out the ingredients, figure out the process of how we're going to cook this meal, instead of politicians finding out at the last minute and not having any involvement. And obviously, they're going to have some pushback and say in any kind of negotiations too. They don't want the Dreamers to just set the tone, set the expectation, run away with everything, and then they are kind of the last people in to try and sort out the actual deal. The Orlando Dreamers say they're starting to make the pitch to Orange County. This coming to us from WFTV Channel 9 in Orlando. But Mayor Jerry Demings says it's too early to play ball. And here's the mayor's quote, which really stands out. And at this point, I'm not going to say it's a roadblock, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. It's definitely a response to all the hype of the Dreamers and the news they've been making and the constant press releases, and one of the other county commissioners going ahead to endorse the project fully. Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings said this, quote, "We're a long way from me saying I'm championing this effort. I don't think we should donate land to billionaires or to wealthy people. They, if anything, have to compensate the people for the land. The conversation can't just be about making wealthy people wealthier." It's a pretty strong stance. I don't think that's beating around the bush. I feel like that is straightforward, that these conversations, these negotiations might need to happen to a little higher degree. He's kind of taking and making his stance quite early on all of this because he's very much aware of who the Dreamers are, what they intend to do, and the fact that they will be seeking public help, public subsidies, a land donation, a tax break, you name it. So he's already kind of planting the flag on where at least Orange County stands. More coverage from WFTV Channel 9. This is, as billionaire investor Rick Workman says, property on International Drive is ideal for the proposed Major League Baseball team. Workman says MLB requires a public-private partnership. But again, I think MLB would be okay if it was entirely privately funded, if there was a group that was able to do that. But in this day and age, who has $5 billion to pump into a team and a project all at once? So that's why these groups have just enough money for the private part. They seek the public part. And here's where we get into some tension, the whole publicly funded stadium situation. It could look like Orange County giving the Dreamers a tax abatement or donating land. Those are the two obvious things, right? We'll cut your taxes some way, we'll pay for this some way, we'll work it out in that fashion, or we'll donate the land, and or both. This is how it works for most stadium deals that are public-private partnerships, as mentioned here. However, Demings says he's not willing to donate county land for the project. Now, at this point, with that site, maybe that's a deal breaker. Maybe the Dreamers don't have it in their budget, their idea, their concept to pay for that land off International Drive. Maybe they do. Maybe there's a different way around it. You're also about to hear later in this coverage that they've got several different sites, not just the one that has been pushed and we've seen all the renderings for. Mayor Demings isn't the only one that feels this way. Out of the 4 commissioners who commented on the Dreamers Tuesday, as of like this week Tuesday, 3 said they didn't have enough information on the Dreamers' plan to move forward with a public-private partnership. And let me just stop right there. That's the whole point of this. When I said earlier that maybe this was opposition to the Dreamers, it's more resistance because, like I said, politicians, they always feel, and they shouldn't feel this way, they should be paying attention to everything, and maybe they should be a little bit proactive and reaching out to the Dreamers, and maybe some of that's happened, but they always feel like they don't want to be caught off guard, right? They want to be involved with the process from its very beginning so that they can have their influences so it doesn't need to come in all at once at the very end, and it needs to be this butting head situation. Demings mentioned when the Orlando Magic wanted the county's help building the now Kia Center right next to downtown, the Magic built gymnasiums around town. And so you're wondering, well, what's the Dreamers' response to that going to be? Orlando Dreamers' Jim Schnorf, he's one of the co-founders, told Channel 9 Tuesday the group plans on building 6 lighted youth baseball facilities and 6 youth softball facilities in each Orange County Commission district. That's a lot of baseball and softball fields. That's a lot of land to acquire. That's a lot more projects as part of this. Interesting how that all of a sudden came to the table. You see what I'm saying? Like the mayor came out and said, whoa, whoa, whoa. This isn't how it's going. And the Dreamers are already saying, well, take a look at this. Schnorf said in a quote, "We think it's the right thing for us to do. It's not something we've been pressured to do." Well, maybe you've been expected to do. It's just something we volunteered on our own. It allows youth an outlet, an opportunity to participate, learn team values, teamwork, Schnorf said. So far, only Commissioner Mike Scott has publicly endorsed the Dreamers' potential move. The Dreamers say they have other options besides Orange County. They say they're looking at least 2 other cities. And I'll be honest, out of everything that this article presents, like news and information-wise, sure, an Orange County mayor having a little bit of resistance to this, that's not the surprising part. That's not really maybe the biggest headline. This last sentence here is one of the biggest headlines. Wait a second. The Dreamers have been set on that one site, near the theme parks, near SeaWorld, near Aquatica. And now they say they're looking at least 2 other cities, I guess in and around Orlando. So I don't know much about that. Maybe closer to downtown, maybe right next to Camping World Stadium. I know there's kind of been a push for that too. So a lot going on here. The mayor's resistance, not to be anybody's surprise, but the fact that the Dreamers are also looking at other properties, maybe not a surprise, but we did not know that until now. Here are my takeaways from all this. Number 1, you knew land and breaks, like free land and free breaks and tax breaks and discounted land, you knew that wouldn't come free and easy, right? It was not going to happen. When everybody said, oh, well, the only thing they need now, they've got investors, they've got a team that they're aiming for in the raise, and they've got the land. They will figure out how to get the land, and they'll figure out how to get the public subsidies. You knew that part wouldn't be this easy. I've seen this before. Demings was elected, by the way, in 2018. He was reelected in 2022. So as far as I know, if it is a 2-term limit, Jerry Demings is going to be up at the end of this year. So maybe for the Dreamers long term, this is not the main person they'll be working with down the line. But again, like there's some urgency here because of what they're trying to do. And let me say the disclaimer, I'm not endorsing this. I'm not behind poaching Major League Baseball teams from other cities. I'm really not. But I'm saying that if that's what the Dreamers' plan is, and if there is some urgency behind it, then they're going to have to work with Mayor Jerry Demings. So wait, they have 3 sites? If they have the one that everybody knows about with renderings and 2 other cities, where are these sites? Things they're looking at, not things they've got lined up, but things they're considering. And I understand why they wouldn't want to reveal that yet at this point. Everybody wants to be included sometimes. I think that's all this is for not only the mayor, but the other county commissioners. Hey, look, if you're the Dreamers, go out and have dinner with these politicians, these people who can have influence on the entire project. Let them in the conversation. It's really not that hard. But I will say that there is some time pressure in this whole situation. I say time equals pressure here because they're trying to make this push right here, right now, and they kind of need everybody on board ASAP. So the Dreamers kind of need to get on this. Obviously, the politicians and the mayor, they don't have any urgency. They're just kind of waiting and seeing and reacting to what comes to them. But I would say again, yeah, more resistance than opposition, but maybe it turns into opposition if these small little details, they're big details right now, they don't get ironed out in the very near future. That's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up down below. Leave your comments down there too. I'll check those out. And make sure you're subscribing to this channel. That way I can definitely see you back here next time.